Hey guys, I hope you're all doing well. So there's been a few comments on some of my other videos where people are asking me about palm muting, specifically palm muting while we are shredding. We're going to go over the basics of palm muting, the technique, how best to practice it, and why we use it and when to use it. Now, if you do find this lesson helpful, please consider leaving a like or a comment, and obviously you can always subscribe for more as well. But anyway, let's check it out. Right, so if you are still new to some of these techniques, let's quickly talk about what palm muting actually is. So all it is basically is we are using our palm to stop a note from ringing out. So if I just play a note like this, right, it's ringing out perfectly, but if I palm mute, I'm making sure that it's not really making much sound. It makes a more muffled, controlled sound. Right, and by itself, it's not all that impressive, but palm muting is the quintessential technique when it comes to rock and heavy metal playing. You'll find this technique used in just about every rock song or metal song that's ever been written. And when it comes to riffs, palm muting makes them sound a lot heavier, but we also use palm muting for shredding. And there's a few reasons we use palm muting while we're shredding. The first reason is that it gives our picking a bit of extra control, which is great when we're going up to higher speeds. The second reason is that it makes our playing sound a lot tighter and more consistent. Thirdly, it actually makes shredding easier, which can help us play faster. And lastly, it just sounds pretty darn cool. So how do we actually palm mute while we're shredding? So in the simplest way I can show you, we're using this part of our hand, right? And all we are doing is basically lightly, this is very important, we are lightly placing it over the strings, particularly these three bottom strings, so the E, the A, and the D string, and we are just near the bridge, so this is the bridge, we are basically resting our palm over the strings like this while we play. So what's very important here is that we don't press into the strings, right? We don't need any force. We don't need any tension in the hand. We're not trying to really squash the strings. The idea is just to rest our hand over the strings near the bridge. If we put too much pressure on the strings, it's going to sound horrible and it's just going to make our playing sloppy and the tension is just going to slow us down, like this. Now, another thing that is super important when we're palm muting is that we want to be able to play without changing our picking technique. So the way I pick allows me to palm mute without having to change the angle or shape of my picking hand. And this is very important because if you practice a certain way palm muted, let's say I find it most comfortable to palm mute like this, and then I play the same thing without palm muting, and it sounds like. So I switch from to. Right, that's no good because when we reach higher speeds, we want to be able to switch between muting and not muting on the fly. So the best way to start practicing your palm muting for shredding is to start with open string palm mutes. So we're just going to start here on the low E string and we're just going to alternate pick the E string while palm muting. Sorry, I couldn't resist. But then you've also got to practice on the A string, just picking down, up, down, up, down, up. And the D string. So just go between those three strings, E, A, and D, and just make sure you're getting a sound you like while you're palm muting. Right, I know these things don't sound pretty, but it's really what helps us build the foundations to our palm muting while we're shredding. And on a side note, it is important while you're practicing this, if you are using an amp and distortion, it's totally fine to have high gain and heavy distortion. Just don't go too crazy on the gain and crank it to full. You might think it's making your palm muting sound better, but all it's doing is making it sound like a can of Coke. So just be mindful of that as well. So once you're happy with palm muting the open strings, then you can start just palm muting any notes anywhere. Right, you can make up whatever you want or practice whatever you want. You can start slowly, just make sure that your palm muting sounds clean. If you are palm muting something, make sure you can play that same thing without palm muting it. Right, so once you're comfortable with that, you can start practicing your scales this way. Right, if we're playing a C major scale, 3 note per string across all of the strings, the first 9 notes are going to be palm muted. And then all you're going to do is lightly lift up your palm when you get to the G string and carry on the scale. And it's going to be the same thing on the way back, but the opposite. So the first 9 on the way back are going to be open, and then you're going to palm mute the rest. So all you're doing is practicing lifting the palm and putting it back onto the strings depending on which string you're on. So again. Right, and the more you practice it, the more you'll get used to it, and you'll be able to lift your palm and put it back down on the fly. Right, it just comes with practice. The last tip I have for palm muting is while you're resting your hand over the strings like that, some of us tend to overcompensate our picking by really digging into the strings, and that's fine if you're playing heavy riffs. But when we're shredding, just try to keep your picking hand light and relaxed. So yeah, if you follow the tips that I've given in this lesson, I promise you will be able to palm mute just fine in no time. So now it's time for you to go practice, and I wish you best of luck with that. If you have any other questions for me, please feel free to let me know. And again, if you enjoyed the video and you learned something, please consider leaving a like or a comment, or you can always subscribe for more. Thank you very much for watching, and I really appreciate the support. Otherwise, have a great day further. Cheers.